I want to talk a little bit about coming into our power and the mother wound, the sister wound, and the wound of competition, the wound that is oozing and needs so much healing right now. As women, as we rise into our power and really step fully into the power of who we are, I feel the calling, and I have felt the calling for a number of years to really heal the sister wound, the wound of competition. And so I want to share a little bit around that. And, I teach in stories, and I always feel like stories are so powerful. I have a pretty big sister wound, mother wound myself that I'm still healing. And it's big. It's a big one for all of us. And I want to really kind of normalize it at the same time as sharing with you some of my own story of what's happened with me. So when I rose up into my power, things really shifted. When I played small and stayed small, it was a lot easier. Yeah. When I made sure not to be too noticed or too seen, and made sure that I dimmed my light a little bit, then it was much easier. But as soon as I, lost the weight, was feeling great, and really started to show up and shine, step into my light, step into my feminine power, that's when all the kind of, the knives came out and the stuff came up, really. And I've known that, for most of my life, that when I fully step into the power of who I am, it really does bring up a lot of issues for other people and triggers for other people. And I didn't have the skill set or the tools or the capacity to be able to really stand solid in my power before. So I would go into my power, and then I'd get these things happening to me, and then I would, disempower myself so that I could, fit in. But a few things that have happened to me in the last year is, and I'll just share one story with you. There's several, but I'll just share one. So, teaching about the chakras and teaching about stepping into our power means that I have to walk my walk. I have to talk my talk, and I have to be true to myself. Otherwise, everything I'm teaching, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't. So I had some situations where I had to really stand strong in who I am. And so one in particular thing that happened was I had gone to the States for some training, and I'd come back and taught a workshop. And I actually had a woman come in to the workshop, and I knew intuitively what was happening. I knew that she was going to take the workshop, and she did. And she, quite literally just took the whole workshop that I had created, of course, inspired by my training, but I had created that workshop, and I was kind of testing it out at my own studio because I was then going to go and market it to the other studios. Well, when I took it to another studio, this woman had already taken it to that studio. So the studio owner said, "Oh, we've already got a similar workshop." And I knew straight away that it was my workshop. And so I called it out, and I said, "Is it this person?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, and I just told her, I was honest. I said, "Well, that's my workshop." And I wasn't invited, but I went anyways, which I think surprised everyone, really. And I went, and I didn't say anything. and I did my very best to, create a safe space around myself, and not project anything out. And I supported her through the workshop. But it was honestly inside of me so painful, because I didn't get acknowledged. I didn't get thanked. I didn't get any kind of gratitude. And it was really, really challenging. But I went because I wanted to know. I wanted to know if my intuition was right. And I wanted to, I don't know, somehow. I mean, I really, at that moment, I didn't know why I went. And I actually, after I went home, and I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. And I felt so betrayed. I felt stolen from. I felt all sorts of emotions. But mainly, the biggest one is I felt so much disrespect and so much dishonor for my own work, my own value. And I just couldn't believe that another woman would do that to another woman. And so I called my mentor, and my mentor told me that I needed to say something, for my own, self-love, my own self-worth, my own self-value. And so I did. It was so scary, but I did. I sent the studio owner an email, and I sent the woman an email. And it was so painful, because instead of there any acknowledgement to what had happened, this person actually turned it on me and made it out to be that it was my issues with competition, my issues with, just turned it completely on me. It took no responsibility for what she had done at all, nothing. And, it was really heartbreaking, and it was really eye-opening. It was a lot of things. The studio owner didn't take any acknowledgement either, which was really eye-opening for me. And I was met with resistance, and I was met with denial. And I was, really, it was really painful on many, many, many levels. And this has happened to me quite a lot. And so then I had to really look inside of my own soul and my own heart of why did this happen? And why was I so triggered by it? And why was it so painful? And, this has enriched me on so many levels of, it's that whole thing of when a woman's raped, and then she gets blamed. Was it what she was wearing? Was it where she was walking? Was it, her fault? And, this is the female wound, is we have been victimized. Like, we have been wronged. We have been blamed and shamed and pushed down. And so what I realized, it wasn't just the energy of this woman, stealing my work. It was the energy of not being respected, not being honored, not being valued. It was the energy of not being recognized. It was the energy of being made wrong, being shamed, being blamed for something that I didn't even do. And so it was loaded on so many different levels. And then when I actually had the strength and the courage to name it, to bring awareness to it, and to stand up for myself and my own boundaries, I was wronged for that as well. And so, this is the female wound. This is the sister wound. Now, I'm speaking up because this needs to be spoken about. This needs to be heard. This needs to be healed. This needs to be acknowledged within all women as a, I am calling out and speaking out. I have so many stories like this where it could have gone so differently. Like it could have, if we just spiral back, when that woman was in my workshop, I know that she resonated with my work. I know that it inspired her. I know that she went, oh, this is what I want to do, right? Wow. And I know she felt like, hang on, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. Now, I want to inspire, right? I want people to get switched on, turned on. Like that's what I want. And so that was good. Now, if she had had the capacity to come to me and say, hey, you've really inspired me. I really want to do something similar to what you've done. Is that going to be okay with you? Can we talk about this? Because I really respect your work. I really love your work. I'm really switched on by your work. It's given me so many ideas for the work I want to be doing. But I just want to make sure that that's okay with you. And then I could have talked to her about, hey, can you just change it a little bit here, a little bit there, and make it your own and bring your own magic to, your particular brand of magic to this body of work. And then, yeah, I'd love to even come and support you. And then I would have been invited, and I could have come and guided and supported the whole thing. And then, if she was sitting in a circle of sisterhood and respect, she would have also said, oh, and this is Schamet. And this is her, she inspired me to do this workshop, and I'm so glad she's here. And I would have felt valued. I would have felt recognized. I would have felt supported, and then I could have also offered her that support and that love around the work that she was doing. And that would have been a very, very different workshop and a very different life experience. And come here, Snowy. Give me, girl. Give me. Give me, girl. Give me, girl. Give me. Oh, I'm just going to let my puppy out and keep talking. So, yeah, I just wanted to come on and, talk a little bit about puppy had to go outside. About what had happened, because this is the change that I want to see between women. And and this is how I do it with the people that I'm really inspired by. I get really inspired by women, and I see I just had it recently happen. I see they're doing a very similar thing that I'm doing, and I go, oh, wow. And so it's different though. It's a different energy. I go, oh, wow, look at what they're doing. It's so similar. God, I think I'll get in touch with them and connect with them and see what they're up to. And, there's a sister that's doing very similar work to me. I don't want to copy what she's doing. I don't want to take her work. I love her. She's amazing. So would I call her up and say, hey, you're amazing. Maybe we could do something together sometime. Maybe we could collaborate, and that's empowering. And that's where I want to see us all go, and I have had another situation just recently where I wasn't being honored. I wasn't being respected. I honestly was feeling like my energy was being used, and I did take up for myself. And it's called self-love to have boundaries. And I again got blamed and shamed, and I felt very attacked by me just actually putting up some boundaries and saying, hey, actually this is not okay. I want to be treated with love and respect and kindness, and I want to be valued, and I want my energy to be valued because I value my energy. And what I find, and I think I know a lot of people that then step into their power, and they start loving themselves, they start respecting themselves, they start valuing themselves, and they put up some boundaries, and they're no longer willing to be the doormat or to be the person that's being used by other people and what their agendas are. And when those boundaries go up, it can be really, really painful, and it can be lonely, because it also can highlight or shed light on to one's own shadow, one's own victim mentality, one's own possibly things that they're not willing to look at yet, not willing to address, not willing to see within themselves. And so, oftentimes that can be projected back and not owned. Yeah. And it's much easier, to blame and shame another woman or another person instead of actually taking responsibility and looking within. And so, this has birthed in me another workshop, healing the feminine wound and the sister wound. And I've got that coming up really soon, just in a few days. And I've noticed that not very many women have decided to come on board. And that I'm just like, come on, sisters, let's do this. Let's heal this. Let's look into the shadow, and let's grow. Let's heal. Let's transcend this. Let's, come together. Together we rise. Together, when we do our healing work, we do our shadow work, we take responsibility for what is going on inside of us and could really heal that, and heal it together in community. Then the stronger we become, the stronger we as women can hold that container and really lift each other up in a really beautiful and powerful way. And, I ran this workshop a few years ago in Wellington, and, I had every full moon, there were around 10 to 15 women that would come. And my manifesting circle was huge. It was probably actually my biggest circle. And then I held this workshop, and I had one person come, and it was like, oh. And so again, there's been a lot of interest, but there's only been a few of you that have signed up. And so I'm putting this video out to say, I'm inviting you in. I'm inviting you all in. Let's dive deep into this. Let's see what's sitting up underneath that, so that we can heal that, so that we can start to re-educate and build bridges, so that we can heal this wound that is sitting in the female psyche with all of us. It's in each and every one of us. Society and, the masculine world, patriarchy, has in so many ways plotted us up against each other and created this really competitive, world where we can, really fall into that. And it's really about honoring each other and valuing each other, and not stealing from each other, and not um, disempowering each other as well. It's like if you invited someone into your home, and you had the people in your home, you wouldn't just steal from them, would you? You might get inspired. You might go, oh, wow, I love your artwork. I love the way you do this. I love the way you do that. And then you might be inspired to do something similar, but you're not going to just take things and then say, and then if I said, hey, don't steal my couch, you wouldn't then just say, oh God, you've got competitive issues. Why can't I steal your couch? Like, if you really look at it in that way, and, we need to come together. We need to learn how to support each other. We need to learn how to respect one another and acknowledge one another. And, the competition and that wounding as well is a double-edged, sword, and it is a two-sided coin as well. And we're going to be talking more about that in the workshop of, looking into and diving deep into what has happened to you and what is sitting underneath that. And I certainly, when I had looked more closely into why these situations for me have occurred, because there was no doubt that there had been several. And so when I went into doing my healing work into where is this sister wound coming from, and traced it back to my own biological sister wound, my own, issues with my upbringing, and dived deep into that timeline of where that came from, why that energy was sitting there inside of me, unprocessed emotion, unprocessed betrayal, unprocessed shame, unprocessed guilt, all these different emotions that were still residing, underneath that. Now I've been able to look at, I've been able to feel into, I've been able to process them, I've been able to name them, and that's so empowering. And when we can do that, and we can really go into those wounds, that's where the gifts are. That's where the teaching is. That's where the wisdom is. So, my slogan, transforming wounds into wisdom and wisdom into superpowers, is that's exactly what we're going to do in this workshop. We're going to dive deep into those betrayals, into those jealousies, into those envies, into the wounds of what is happening if you're in a pattern of women stealing from you, women maybe trying to take your husband, women that betray you, women that you think are your really good friends and then they turn on you, women that gossip about you, all those different betrayals. And maybe you have a pattern of, of a situation reoccurring, and you keep slamming those doors and unfriending and unfriending and unfriending and slamming and slamming and slamming. And then you then go, what is going on? What is happening here? And you're ready to stop the reoccurring patterns. You're ready to stop the reoccurring dramas, right? And you're ready to really look into your shadow, into that wound, and you're ready to see what needs to change so that you can start breaking those patterns, so that you can heal those wounds, and so that you can really be living your most abundant life of your dreams, and really healing those parts, then I invite you to my workshop, Healing the Sister Wound, the Mother Wound, and really journeying inside of you to find greater strength and healing. So I hope to see you soon. Happy full moon magic. The energy is so powerful right now. Such a beautiful harvest moon. I didn't get to see the moon last night because it's all, we're in a thick cloud right now in Sweden. So I couldn't see the stars or the moon, but I can feel it, and it's really powerful. And so happy full moon. Time for healing, time for definitely, illuminating the shadow, illuminating and seeing what you need to see in order to feel, acknowledge, embrace, and bring in, so that you can become stronger within your own self, your own love. I know that I am feeling, as a result to, I was in victim energy for a while about what had happened to me, but now I see it so clearly, with crystal clear clarity of vision, of knowing that every single thing that's happened to me has happened for a reason. It's happened to deepen my work, my woman's work. It's happened so that I can help other women that have gone through this, and I can help myself with the tools and the skills and the strength that I have. And I'm wearing my special sweatshirt that I love so much. And I'll end with that, is inhale the good shit, exhale the bullshit, right? There's a lot of bullshit out there. And as women, we have every reason to be a little pissed off and angry, and that's okay. So keep inhaling the good shit, exhale the bullshit, and have a really, really amazing full moon. And I hope to see you and talk to you soon. All my love and abundant blessings to yourself, to your family, and to your community. Namaste.